of the commission. I'll be presiding over this meeting. And if you could silence, because I've done it before myself, but if you have any electronic devices, could you silence them or your other device?
Yes, Chair. So Commissioner Thomas,
Present.
Commissioner Pat Cece is absent. Commissioner Holmes? Present. Commissioner Lammers is absent. And Chair Hansen. Thank you.
Justice for all.
Is there any need to reorder the agenda, David, Mike?
No, not from my perspective. Testing the mic too.
I'd get a little bit closer there. All right, now we have a public comment period. We invite members of the public to address the commission. Your comments will be limited to 3 minutes. And if you'd fill out a card if you wish to speak, there's cards back in the lobby and there's cards up here as well. Seeing no members of the public, Roxanne, do we have any correspondence or anything to respond to?
We do not.
Okay. Okay, if there's no public comment, then I'll just close the public comment period at this time. Commissioner statements, reports. David, do you have anything you want to?
Just good to be back.
Good to be back.
Yeah.
Michael?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, moving on, we have Director, Staff Liaison, and Attorney reports. Public Works Director, Bill Whitkoff, you have anything? You have a couple of reports that you have to give?
A couple this evening, yes. Just some quick comments. We have a fairly full agenda tonight. Glad to be back in here. Like you said, the first time in about 6 months, so we have a lot to get through. We're going to do our best to keep that moving as quickly as we can. We mailed out the packet for the July meeting, so if you happen to have any questions from that, the staff are here available to answer those questions, and if not, we'll just keep moving forward with the agenda.
Okay, great. Let's keep moving.
All right, so next will be the CIP update. I'm going to go ahead and go up to the podium for that, so I'm going to have to move the clicker around the whole time. All right, so wanted to provide you just a quick update on where we are with our capital improvement projects for the 23 through 25 budget. A little bit of background, as you know, the capital improvement project was part of our strategic goals and plans that were set forth by the council. And back in the June of 2023, the City Council approved our 23, 24, and 24, 25 budget, which included a 5-year capital plan totaling $120 million. So we've been very busy. I'm not going to go through the entire list, but just wanted to provide the list to show that we have 14 projects that we've completed recently. The map here just kind of shows where the work has been done throughout the city, so you can see we've kind of touched just about every part of the city, spread that work out equally across the entire range of the city. So I'm going to go through just some pictures real quick. That's why I didn't go through the list. So I'll show you some of the things that were of importance for us. So the Amelia Country Club, Cumberland Water and Street Improvement Projects, you can see here just a series of photos. That project is basically done now. We're working on just the final paperwork to close that out and should have the notice of completion coming to the City Council in the next meeting or two. The Bennett Avenue et al. Water and Street Improvement Projects, again, another huge project that we're wrapping up. Same thing with that. We're in the final paperwork to file the notice of completion.
Sir, regarding the Bennett project, beautiful. I just noticed that street light the crossing light there at Sandberg doesn't work.
Okay.
The light doesn't work.
Okay, we'll go out and take a look at that.
And Commissioners, just a reminder, we'll go ahead and we'll do the report first, and then we will take any comments at the end of the report discussion.
I might forget my comments. It's kind of spontaneous.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you letting us know. Thank you. So the Manalo Water and Street Improvement Project, again, that was done. One of the things I want to point out with this set of pictures especially is when we're going in and we're doing the water line replacement and the street projects, it's not just the paving or the water line. You can see in most of these projects we had, the striping was redone. A lot of times any of the regulatory signage was taken care of, curbs, gutters, any ADA ramps, anything else that needs to be touched out there so that we're done. We've touched everything that we need to. That street's been completely rehabbed, and we are out of there. That street's in good condition. Hopefully, we're not back for at least 10 more years having to do anything in those neighborhoods and interrupt those neighbors again. So Finkbeiner Park improvements for Phase 2 were completed just a few months ago, but that project is finally coming to the end as far as getting notice of completion and paperwork done. Glendora Avenue emergency paving, so you may have seen that. We had so many complaints coming in and so many claims for damage that we went out and did a quick repave on sections of Glendora there. That was an interesting project. Huge kudos to the staff that were involved and the contractor. Just for some numbers, the contractor, in order to get that repaved in one day, we're putting down about 100 tons of asphalt an hour to get that done. So again, that's a temporary project until we get to the larger overall Glendora project, and we'll touch on that in just a minute. So the Dale Road property demolition, that has been complete. So that property is cleared, all the structures are out of there, and now the city is working on trying to find a developer to put in some housing in that area, some affordable housing. And then we had our curb ramp project, so you can see the number of those. So we come in, put the ramps in, put the tactile panels at the bottom. The Route 66 Lone Hill Sidewalk project, again, wanting to make sure that we have an accessible city for all. And then we have a number of projects that are under design. You can see here we've got 12 projects that are under design. I'm going to touch on a couple of those tonight. First one being the South Hills Bike Park. So we are assisting with that project, but Recreation and Human Services is the lead on that one. The City Corporate Yard final design. We're finally getting to the point where we can get some construction drawings designed to get that hopefully out to bid in the next couple of years and get a new corporate yard for everybody, get rid of some of those old facilities and bring us into the 21st century. San Dimas Wash Bridge improvements. Our citywide slurry seal program. So as we get a lot of complaints about, one of our number one complaints is the condition of the street. You can see we have a number of streets that are getting a new slurry seal. Just for reference, those are not picked randomly. Several years ago, we had a pavement condition index done, so we knew what the condition of all of our streets, and those were prioritized. That's how we make those decisions on the streets that are going to get re-slurried. And we actually have an RFP out now that closed today. We had to extend it a couple of days due to one last-minute question, but we'll be bringing a contractor back in to redo the condition assessment of all of our streets in the city. And then we have our CDBG 24-25 grind and overlay projects. You can see that. Our HSIP traffic signal updates. You can see we have a number of signals that are going to be upgraded. Primarily, the reason for that through the safety program is to move the signal head from the median to the mast arm. But while we do that, we're going to be pooling our money with that to change out the traffic signal cabinets, go to our new standard. Where it's required, we're going to put in video detection for the vehicles instead of the loops in the ground, and hopefully upgrade the entire operation of the signals in all those intersections. We also have a number of projects that are out for request for proposals. You can see the Glendora Avenue Route 66 street and water improvements, and I won't go through the whole list. Again, we have a couple of pictures of some of those to talk about. So the Glendora Avenue water line and street rehabilitation projects, so we have those proposals. We're reviewing those now. Looks like about 18 to 24 months for design, another 4 to 6 months to get that out to bid and award, and then we're looking probably 24 months of construction. It may be a little bit sooner, but we don't want to tell folks that because it is a fairly complex project. You can see that's going from Gladstone all the way up to Route 66, which means we have to coordinate with Los Angeles County, with Caltrans, and a number of utility companies to make that happen. And there's going to be some street redesign there in order for us to meet ADA requirements. So very complex project that's going to take us quite some time to get done, but one that we're very excited about. The Colorado east of Glendora water and street improvements, you can see again, more water lines being replaced, and then new paving and same thing. Any ADA requirements or anything that we need from there. And if that wasn't enough, we have another 12 projects that are in pre-proposal. Some of these just recently actually got moved up, or actually out to bid now since the time we put this report together. So those are moving along fairly quickly. So with that, concludes my presentation. I'd like, again, just to say thank you to all the staff. I'm the one that's fortunate enough to stand at the podium and tell you about all the work that's being done, but it's really the combination of our public works staff, our water staff, especially involved with these, and all the other departments, and of course, the support from the commission, the council, that help us to be successful with this. So that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
I think you must be exhausted just going through all those projects. David, you have any questions?
Absolutely.
I guess Dale Road, the demolition, what was the, where is that property? Where's Dale Road?
So far south side of the city, I'm trying to think of what the nearest cross street, guys. Help me. Grand? Yeah, an arrow would be down there.
Okay, that's where the city bought that property for,
Yep. Affordable housing?
Gotcha,
Yes.
okay.
Yep.
The Glendora Avenue water line project, that's just, you're replacing the whole line?
Yes.
What is it, just, is it arterial line or transmission main?
No,
or
it's you want to talk that? Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
and it's different, is that one, it's transitioning pressure zones too in there?
No, that's all zone one,
Okay,
so that comes down. So that transmission main comes down from Sierra Madre, all the way down. It actually doesn't come down Glendora Avenue at that point. It comes down Vista Bonita, but because that Glendora Avenue takes that little jog, so it ties in at Glendora Avenue at that point, just above the railroad tracks.
you break pressure somewhere in there?
No.
That's good head then on that line.
Yes.
What are you replacing it with?
That's still to be determined, but it'll probably be ductile iron.
Ductile iron? Good. And then the paving projects, I guess, everything kind of, you make sure everything subsurface is upgraded, or,
Yes, exactly.
that's a lot of work, so.
Yeah, it is. And after we pave a street, we have a 5-year moratorium on that.
Yeah.
So we don't allow any of the other utilities or anybody else to come in and impact that street at all for at least 5 years.
That always the way it's supposed to work until a water main breaks. You know, I always had to face a couple city managers and city council saying, you messed up our perfect road there. And I said, hey,
Yep.
water has a mind of its own. So-
Exactly, and that's why we really try and coordinate a lot of these projects where we do the water line and then we do the paving when that's done and take care of the, sidewalks, concrete, anything else to try and reduce that as much as we can.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's pressure, water has a different idea sometimes.
That it does, yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. That's very ambitious. That's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, yes, we are very busy.
So you got, who coordinates the projects at the water department, water division in the city? All of you guys, so you don't get much work done sitting in those meetings, but it's necessary to kind of figure
Yes.
out, get your input on that.
Yeah,
so.
their knowledge and expertise of the system is priceless. We
Vital,
can't do any of this
vital.
work without them.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Great job in resurfacing, repaving a lot of the streets in town. The good news and the bad news is once you get it done, then it just draws attention to the other roads that are in really bad
Yeah,
shape.
for sure.
So my question is that how many miles per year have you budgeted to do an extensive slurry seal or actual?
So this year, we're focusing primarily on the slurry seal from the street side. We're combining any of our repaving with the water projects. One of the reasons for that is with the last couple of years, with the amount of rain that we've had, the report that we had done several years ago for the pavement condition index really isn't accurate any longer. So that's why we've got that proposal out. So when the firm comes in, they do an evaluation of the streets, they update our pavement condition. Then from there, we'll decide where we go next with the paving project. But because things have changed so much since the last report, we want to get the new one done. But again, good news is that was scheduled to close today. We extended a couple of days due to a couple of questions, but that is in process right now. So we should have that information back probably by summer, so we can start setting some new priorities.
Great. And with all these projects, how close are the bids coming in at engineer's estimate? I know years ago it was bids were coming in much higher than engineers' estimates.
Yeah, I think we've been pretty good lately. We have seen on the design side, where we've thrown some numbers together, and then when the engineering firms come in for the design costs, we've seen some pretty large spreads. But once we get through the design process, our bids have been relatively close. So there's always a couple outliers in there, but generally speaking, the bulk of them have been pretty close.
Okay. And one other question is the traffic signs, or the traffic signals.
Yes.
My understanding, some of them are still under the control of MTA?
Yes. So anything that's anywhere near the tracks right now is still being maintained by them. We had a meeting this morning. We've been getting a number of complaints basically across the whole line about the operational traffic signals. So we had a meeting this morning about that. We have another meeting coming up next week to sit down with them and figure out kind of what's going on with some of the implementation of getting these fully operational. So they've been having, I think, some issues with the video detection systems that were in place and kind of getting everybody coordinated to work on that. Not only is it KPJV, it's also the manufacturer of the video detection equipment, plus Los Angeles County, which is our contractor to maintain those traffic signals. We've got to get everybody together. Each time we need to go out and work on those. So it's a little bit of a coordination issue, but we are pushing through it.
Bottom line is when?
I wish I could give you an exact date. So, yeah, hopefully the ones along the rail are done within the next couple of months. They're going to have to now that they're going to start their active train testing, at speed testing now, starting this weekend. So we really need to make sure that they're starting to get all the clearance timing and stuff done as quickly as possible. Some of the ones that are under our jurisdiction along 66 are probably going to be a little bit longer because we've applied for grant money through the HSIP cycles. So we have Cycle 10 that we're finishing up, Cycle 11 out there now, and we just applied for Cycle 12, the new grant. So we have a number of traffic signals that are going, and we have about $400,000 worth of projects that have been approved and are with LA County now for signal upgrades to get some of these that are running in recall back to actually using detection so they're cycling properly. Recall means that the traffic signal assumes that there's somebody at every single side, so it runs through all of those, which is what's most frustrating for people. You're sitting at a red light while the other side's green and there's nobody there. That's because they're running in recall, but we're working to fix that. So,
Okay,
yeah.
great. That's the issue.
Yep.
All right, great
you.
report, Bill.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion?
Receive and file.
Yeah. Yes, to receive and file, yeah.
I motion receive and file the report, the 2024-25 capital improvement program update.
It's been moved and
I second.
David second.
Wonderful. Commissioner Thomas? Commissioner Holmes?
Affirm, yes.
Chair Hansen?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-3-0.
Okay, item number 4 on the agenda is the reorganization for fiscal year 24-25. And I will turn that over to the city clerk.
So, yeah, so one of the questions we had for the commission, because we have a couple of members that aren't here this evening, it's totally your decision if you want to take care of that tonight, or if you'd prefer to put that on hold until the next meeting when we have the full body. But it's your decision this evening. We're happy to do whichever you think is most appropriate for the commission tonight.
Okay?
I move just to wait till we have the full, we have a quorum, but I'd rather have all five here.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. So unless there's no objections, we'll reschedule this for our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Okay, which would be, we're in October, so it won't be till January.
Should we need to be doing it sooner, we will go ahead and schedule a special meeting, but we can go ahead and just put the directions of the Water Commission were to schedule it at the next future meeting.
Yeah, the fourth Thursday in January.
I'll make that a motion.
I would second.
Okay. Since they both motioned, I'll do oral roll call. Commissioner Holmes?
Approve.
Commissioner Thomas?
Approve.
Chair Hansen?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Maybe I should have asked before we
3-0.
took the motion, that we're not running afoul of any Glendora city
No.
municipal, okay.
No, we're
No
good.
codes or anything.
We're good.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the consent calendar. This is to affirm the minutes from the April 24th, 2024 Water Commission. We'll take these, there's only the one item, and unless anybody has any questions, it will be approved in one vote.
I make a motion to approve the regular Water Commission meeting minutes from April 25th, 2024.
I second that.
It's been moved and seconded.
Wonderful. Or roll call, Commissioner Holmes,
Approve.
Commissioner Thompson,
Approved.
Chair Hansen.
Approved.
Wonderful. Motion carries 3-0.
All right, moving on to item number 6 on the agenda, unfinished business. We have the fiscal year 24-25 water distribution update, the first quarter, and Jason Forsberg is going to give us a report.
All right. Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you
Good
for
evening.
having me today. All right, we'll get started with our 24-25 water distribution update. We'll get started with our leak history comparison. So in the green, we've got 23, and in the orange, we have 24 for the months of July, August, and September. You could see in July, last year, we had 42 leaks. This year, in July, we had 41. In August, we had 49 and 23. This year, we had 41. In September of 23, we had 35, and this year we had 32, with a total overall of 126 for 23, and then a total of 114 for this year.
Are these all unique leaks year to year, or are there some repeats? In other words, it leaks one year and then it also leaks again the second.
Yes, yeah, that is correct. Yeah, we do have hot spots that do pop up, which we will be addressing in the future CIPs.
Okay.
All right. So for this fiscal year, we started something new at the Water Division. We started to implement an emergency water line replacement program, utilizing Water Division staff and our emergency contractors. The objective of the program is to identify aging water lines with significant leak history that run through high-risk areas and private property, and to replace and abandon those aging water lines. The first project that we were able to start and complete is the Bonnie Cove Emergency Water Project. This is at Bonnie Cove and the 210 freeway right there where it dead ends. We had replaced or abandoned about 600 linear feet of 6-inch main with a very extensive leak history. We replaced and installed 3 new 1-inch copper services. And that impacted the area of 1230, 1232, and 1238 Bonnie Cove.
What material pipe did you replace?
So the water main that fed through there was a 6-inch steel line, and it just fed 3 homes with services tapped off of that 6-inch line. So what we did was just eliminate that 6-inch line completely and just ran copper services for them off of Bonnie Cove.
Copper's durable in soil like that? I mean,
Yes, absolutely.
Impervious to any of the corrosion or anything like that.
No, yes, yeah. And this is just an overview of the project itself. You can see where in the dark blue, right just above the light blue, that was the existing water main up there, and then the light blue is where we installed the new 1-inch copper services tapped off of the main on Bonnie Cove itself. The second project that we were able to complete this past fiscal year in the first quarter is the Donington Emergency Water Project. This is the same scenario. We had an old 6-inch water main with extensive leak history running through multiple properties. So our objective there was to get rid of that and abandon that main. And again, off of that main, it only served 2 homes off of Donington Street, 1157 and 1161. There you could sort of see the layout of the plan that we did. So we were able to run services off of Yucca Ridge to feed and serve 1161 and 1157 by eliminating and abandoning the 1949 6-inch steel water main.
And that's still through a backyard, and you had an easement through there, I presume?
Yes,
So you-
yes, yeah.
And the meters are in the backyard?
Correct, yes,
That's old school.
yes. Another water project that we worked on this first quarter is putting in check valves for fire hydrants. Unfortunately, we do get a lot of hit hydrants in our system, which can cause further damage throughout surrounding communities and our water lines. And also, too, it's a hazard to our operators when we respond. And also, it's great for water loss. So what we've been doing is high-risk areas or areas that have been known to already been hit, and then any new fire hydrant installations, we are putting in a check valve. And then you can see right here, that first photo is a newly installed hydrant with the check valve on it. And then you could see sort of the difference. So right there is a hit hydrant right off of Gladstone and Grand. You can see it's probably going up about 50, 60 feet. With the hydrant guard, the check valve on it, when the hydrant gets knocked off, that is the difference. Just sprays a little bit just to keep the pressure out so it doesn't cause any water hammering.
Some of my experience with hit hydrants that kept getting hit again, we'd move the location. For some reason, people like to hit them there in those spots. Do you ever move them just to get them out of a
In some cases, yes. Most cases, it's more difficult to move it just to the area and location.
Nobody, the berry's not hurt on that at all? The check valve protects everything down in there, huh?
Yes, yeah, it's all breakaway. Yep. And then just a notable water project. This is just one of the 114 water leak repairs that the Water Division made in this past first quarter. This is on Route 66 in Financial Way. We had a 2-inch service blowout at the Corp at the main, and this was the aftermath of that. And just, just an appreciation for the guys out in the field, our operators out in the field, and the work that they've been doing. This is a common scenario in a project that we'd be working on every week, every day. So, recommendation is that the Water Commission receive and file fiscal year 2024-25 water distribution update. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
I asked mine, contrary to the advice of our clerk, to,
I let it slide this time.
thank you, I appreciate your benevolence. So,
I guess just one simple question on
Yes.
the, some of the line replacements that are in hot soil. I assume you've kind of changed your practice on installing the new pipe and
Correct, yes.
protecting it and.
Yeah, so for hot soil areas, we'll either put in PVC or we'll put in ductile iron with a plastic wrapping around it, bedded in sand to help that.
Do you think, is there a lot more in town that ultimately you're going to have to do that too?
Yes, over time that there will be areas that will have to be addressed.
Okay,
Absolutely.
great. Thanks, Jason.
Yes, thank you.
It's been a motion.
Motion?
I move.
second? To receive and file the report from Jason?
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
I will now conduct
You want me to vote yes on it?
a roll call. Yes. Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson?
Aye.
Chair Hansen?
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0.
See, I wait whether you say affirm or aye or yes.
I'm mixing up my, hey, I gotta expand my, avoid Alzheimer's by using different words, so.
Okay, moving on to item number 7 on the agenda, the Water Conservation Program update. Management aide Armando De Jesus is going to give us a report.
All right, good evening, Chairman and Water Commissioners. I'll be providing the water conservation update for the first quarter of the fiscal year and provide some overview for projects that we're currently working on. Starting with our education and outreach, conservation staff once again participated in the annual National Night Out event hosted by the Glendora Police Department on August 9th at Finder Park. We distributed hundreds of water conservation giveaways to attendees and also promoted our water efficiency programs. Conservation staff also took part in this year's annual Classic Car Show in Uptown Glendora on August 17th. Our focus was on raising awareness on leaks and how to find them. Toilet leaks are one of the most common and most difficult type of leaks to detect in household, common water-related leaks. We showcased our toilet leak detection tabs using our potty training toilet, like you can see on the right side of my head, which served as a fun icebreaker for residents who were a little hesitant or shy to come over to our area. So it was an instant hit. A lot of people actually wanted to take it, and we told them no. Bless you. So we'll definitely be using this prop at future events. We've contacted all schools within our Glendora city limits to promote our various water education programs. These included classroom presentations on water awareness, field trips to Liberty Valley's Municipal Water District in Claremont, grant opportunities by NWD and the Water Awareness Water Education Committee, also known as WEWAC, and promoting the upcoming Water Awareness Poster Contest, which kicks off in January 2025. We're excited to share that a kindergartner from Cullen Elementary has been chosen as a winner in the NWD's poster contest, making him Glendora's first ever winner to this regional contest. So out of thousands of students, we got one kid. This is the first time we've ever participated. So reached out to their parents. They were ecstatic that their son won. So the student will be honored at a special award ceremony in December, and his poster will be included on NWD's yearly calendar as well. Staff wrote an article for the Glendora Report Fall 2024 edition magazine, highlighting the new Making Conservation a California Way of Life regulation and their impact to Glendora water customers. The piece informs residents about programs and resources to support efficient water saving practices. Our local celebrity, Russell Ackerman, was interviewed by a not-so-local news channel from Japan to discuss Glendora's conservation efforts and programs in connection with the new state regulations. NHK also interviewed many other water agencies all over Southern California about the same topic. The interview is expected to be posted on their website sometime this month. They did say something in October. We will share that link with you as soon as it becomes available, so we'll make sure to email that to you. So our conservation programs and with a connection with our NWD partnership. Staff continues to promote our partnership with NWD's residential turf replacement program. On September 1st, NWD dropped our rebate program from $3 to $2 per square foot, but Glendora increased our rebate contribution from $1 to $2 a square foot to compensate for NWD's reduction, for a total of $4 per square foot of turf removed. Also, as of September 1st, Glendora has discontinued several of our device rebate incentives, such as toilets, washing machines, irrigation controllers, and rain barrels. Instead, we partner with NWD, which offers the same exact rebates through their program. The city will be price matching their rebate amounts on top of NWD's rebates. For instance, their current rebate right now for toilets is $80. Glendora will add an additional $80 to that rebate, so total $160. So NWD will take care of all the administrative cost from the accepting the applications, from sending out the actual check to the resident, and doing an inspections as well. So that does free up a lot of time, and actually part of our budget right now that we could focus on the new regulations. With the success of our partnership, I'm sorry, also as of September 1st, the program, our current existing program has changed drastically too. So we're still keeping our Glendora rebates, but we are limiting it to items that NWD does not cover, so which is dishwashers and pool covers. We've also increased the rebate amount by $25 for each item. So our dishwasher rebate was $150, so we increased it to $175, and pool covers from $100 to $125. So on September 1st, we have a lot of things happen on September 1st this year. Staff launched a new incentive program that focuses on landscaping projects. The program is called Landscape Professional Services Reimbursement Program. The program offers a rebate amount of $500 for landscape design reimbursement, and an additional $500 for completing the work with a licensed professional. The aim of the program is to ensure that each project will meet industry landscape standards for efficiency. Our partnerships with the success of our partnerships with both WaterWise and SoCalGas, staff is currently pursuing contract renewals with each agency. The Urban Water Use Objective, also known as the Making Conservation the California Way of Life, regulations will be asking every water agency in the state of California to start meeting certain VAP criteria and submit that data that we currently do not have. Our collaboration with WaterWise and SoCalGas will assist us to start meeting those goals. Russell Ackerman will be providing an update on the specifics of the state regulation requirements later on tonight. Staff continues to collaborate with Ecotech Services to promote the Community Water Hero Program, which certifies that CII properties are maximizing water efficiency by replacing outdated toilets and urinals at no cost to the customer. And finally, staff is excited to launch a new partnership with Green Media Creations, which will be hosting a series of water efficient workshops throughout the fiscal year. The workshops will cover design options, plant installation tips, how to maintain their new garden once it's been installed, selecting plants that are appropriate for our climate in Glendora, and turf conversions. To create an engaging, hands-on experience, staff will collaborate with local nurseries to host these workshops at their location and at the same time to incentivize for residents who shop in with our local vendors. And then our city comparison figures, starting with 23 to 24. These figures help staff assess our progress. So the year-to-date percentage is 11.61% increase in water usage. And then comparing from last year to this year, 2023 obviously was a really wet year. Compared to this year, we did get some rain, but nothing close to what we received last year. So we do attribute this increase in that. Bless you. And then comparing figures from 2020 to 2024, these are the figures that are reported to the state on a monthly basis. We have a 12.82% decrease year to date.
So 2020 is your baseline year, is that?
Correct.
Okay.
Currently, right now, yes, 2020 is our baseline year. And that concludes my presentation. Be happy to answer any questions.
Questions, David?
No, I like the new programs. I think they're an improvement
Thank
from
you.
a technical standpoint.
Thank you.
How do you feel the conservation message is being received by the customers, residents of Glendora?
It's kind of hit or miss. Some residents obviously are looking at the news. They're seeing our weather, how everything's been changing. We do get a lot of questions of, do we still have our current regulations right now? And we are seeing a lot of people obviously using our water, so we've increased our surveillance. We do have staff literally driving around, still educating residents that we still have these rules right now. But some people are more cooperative than others, but it's just more about educating and telling them what we have to follow by state regulations.
Some of our biggest, I mean, we have schools with the big lots, yard playgrounds and stuff. Are you working with them to reduce, I mean, most of the lawns look dead at the schools, but maybe that's how they're conserving, so.
We're definitely working with the schools and our bigger properties as well, especially our golf courses. So we're actually doing a big survey at the golf course next week. So we are collaborating with our bigger
Glendora
users.
Country Club or the three-par?
Both. Both.
We've had 2 wet winters in a row. Are people starting to waste water again?
We are noticing that trend right now, yes. So once we complete our agreements with both SoCal Gas and WaterWise, we are planning on sending out a letter to kind of promote every single program. It is kind of expensive to be sending out letter after letter. We have noticed that if we send out too many things at the same time, residents do start experiencing fatigue. They don't want to be told to conserve water every other month. So we're planning on doing kind of one big mailer as soon as the agreements have been completed. It should be sometime next month or
Great.
maybe early December or January.
Great.
Can I ask one more? Do the meters, with the reading them every day, does that help? I mean, are you alerting people to leaks on their property and things like that?
Absolutely. So we actually do have a program that we do receive a report every single day telling us of any constant flows. So within 24 hours, if the system does notice constant flow of water for a full 24 hours, we are notifying those residents. But we do have certain thresholds, but we can't get to every single resident. Unfortunately, it's literally right now one person doing that for the entire city. So we do have to set certain thresholds. Or if not, we would be sending out $500 per day. But we're definitely trying to keep up with that.
So you try to pick off the worst, the ones that have the biggest leaks probably, right? Is
Yes,
that- okay.
yes. We do have our in-house rules. If a specific property does have a larger leak than another one, we do go the extra mile of trying to knock on a door, trying to actually call them, try to make every effort that we possibly can to contact them. If not, we actually will actually tell them, would you like us to shut off the water while you get that leak repaired?
That'd get their attention.
Yes, they were.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anything new from the state regarding 20% reduction by 2020?
There is actually, Russell Ackerman's going to give you
Oh,
a
okay.
full presentation on that later on tonight.
Great. I'll
with,
wait.
with those updates.
Okay, very good. Do we have a motion to receive and file a water conservation program update? David moved, Mike
I'll second.
seconded. All those in favor?
Say aye.
Aye.
Wonderful. Motion carries 3-0.
All right, moving on to item number 8 on the agenda, the water supply outlook. Water Division Manager Dale Wirt is going to give us a report.
Evening, Commissioners. Glad to see you guys again. I'm going to be giving you the water supply report for the first quarter. See if I don't screw this up. There we go. Currently, Glendora has received 27.86 inches of rainwater as of September 30th of the fiscal year. Our average is 24. We have received 0.2 inches from July to September 24th. Typical rain year is October 1st through September 30th of the following year, and all our rain measurements are taken at the water yard. Just a graph on the rainfall totals. In green is 2022 to 2023 year. Orange is 2023 to 2024. You'll notice some significant less rain this year than last. You notice the totals on the end, about 7.06 for the 2023 and 1.93 for 2024 at the same time period last year. There we go. All right. Untreated import deliveries from Upper San Gabriel Valley Municipal Water District through USG 3. They started in June making deliveries through USG 3 with a constant flow rate of about 250 CFS. I believe they had stopped them shortly as the update because of some of the percolation issues downstream. So they're going to take a look at county's operation and hopefully restart that 250 CFS shortly. For August, they delivered 15,121.3 acre feet. For September, I have an update. They delivered 14,762.2 acre feet. Three Valleys Municipal Water District during August delivered 404.1 acre feet through PM 26 into the Little Dalton spreading grounds. In August, Three Valleys didn't make any deliveries, and currently in September, they didn't make any deliveries either. San Gabriel Valley Municipal Water District during August delivered 1,371 acre feet to the San Gabriel Canyon. And during September, I have the update here. They delivered 1,257 acre feet to the canyon and 1,083 acre feet to the San Gabriel River. Pictures of Morris Dam, current year, July 11th, 2024 on the left, and then September 25th, 2024 on the right. Different weather pattern, a little cooler. There's your San Gabriel Dam, so July 11th, 2024 on the left. As you can see, in September, they had it mostly drained, working on removing that silt and debris from the east side. That's another set of pictures I focused in so you guys can kind of see what they're trying to do. You can see the gates all the way over there in the upper right-hand corner, diverting water to the west side, pooling and then pumping it up and over the spillway, and then they trucking silt part way and then the rest of the way up into the canyon in the north side via conveyor belt. Their scheduled work was supposed to end, has some delays next year, but with the bridge fire, that'll have to be reevaluated after winter. All right, everyone's favorite. Talk about snowpack both on California and Colorado. As of September 30th, the snowpack, which is the update, that date, there's really been no change. About 123% of normal. Snowpack in Colorado River is about 115% of normal for this time. Storage on the Colorado River system conditions, Lake Powell is about 38% and Lake Mead still holding at about 32%. Storage in California overall throughout our main state reservoirs is about 70% of average. And the state allocation is still at 40%. Next slide. San Gabriel Basin Key Well information. I do have an update as of September 30th, October 23rd. The Key Well reading was 243.7 feet, which is another 0.2 feet above. Currently where it was at the beginning of September, so we're still getting a rise from the water percolating through the spreading basins. And on November 21st, still 2018, Baldwin Park Key Well groundwater elevation low water record was set at 169.4. So we've been able to get kind of above that quite a bit.
It's pretty incredible to gain elevation and during the summer. We had a pretty hot, I mean, that's the spreading and
Yeah.
the cumulative effect. That's pretty incredible.
Part of the reason is we've been taking MET purchases through USG1. I had mentioned that before. And remember, that's been a constant flow since June of 250 CFS. So that's really, really helped. They're starting to have some percolation issues, just oversaturation, basically. So attending the water master meetings, we learned real quick, county is working with the spreading grounds, doing some alternating spreading to try to keep that percolation rate up. And those should resume flows by the end of the month. Water production and treated water purchases. Well production in July, we had 1,070.5 acre feet. August was 1,132.39 acre feet. In September, we had 1,035 acre feet. Met purchases, only purchased water in July of approximately 13.97 acre feet, and no purchases made in August or September. There's our well production in green is for the year 2024, and orange is 2023 it should be in green, and 2024 should be in orange. Those production values there, I have 1,010.4 for 2023, and then 1,070.5 for 2024. August is 979.9 in 2023, and 1,128.6 in 2024. And for September, we have 819.1 for 2023, and 1,035.8 for September 2024. Remember, we did have 2 wet years following up to that. Purchased water looks like a blip on the radar. In July, we had 13.4 acre feet. We had a well out of service, and we had some consecutive hot days. So we had to make up some water over approximately a 2-week period. That concludes my report. Unless you have
Great.
any questions.
Great, thanks, Dale.
Thank you.
Any questions? You interrupted and got yours in. Tell you, David?
No questions.
Okay, I've got a few.
Oh, no worries.
I held off and waited. The spreading through PM26,
Yes.
do you have any visual observations as how far down the basin, the water went in the basins? There's 13 basins there.
Yeah, I have to be honest, I did not have any visual of that. I
Okay.
took that from the engineer's report from Watermaster.
Because I've got a project in mind for you guys to consider is to move water through PM26 through the Little Dalton Spreading Grounds into the Little Dalton Wash when you build the stormwater capture project at
You had mentioned that
Finkbeiner Park. Be a great way to replenish the Glendora Basin with your wells up there and also get water down into the stormwater capture basin as well.
Sure.
Yeah. I guess the other question is the spreading done by the San Gabriel District in the Canyon Spreading Grounds. Is the groundwater level in pretty good shape there in the Canyon Basin?
Yeah, groundwater has been pretty good. We utilize the 2 pits as well to keep a visual on how things are. And I don't think I've been here 6 years, I haven't seen that full that long.
Yeah.
And the water's still coming down. The CFS rating is changing slightly, but not much, so they're still able to push most of the water down.
And the wells at the San Gabriel plant are in pretty good shape?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. And then it just seems to me counterintuitive that you're dredging silt out of the San Gabriel Dam and you're moving it upstream only for it to, in a heavy rainfall, it's going to come back down. It just, I know the issue about, the trucks and the Azusa Canyon and the environmental issues and all that, but it just seems like a waste of time and effort to put silt where it's going to flow back into the San Gabriel Dam. So.
I can hear you. Quite an extensive project, though.
Yeah. And then finally, the Key Well, I think with the new amendment to the judgment, water level 250 was no longer an issue. Years ago, it used to be where you couldn't spread any import water if the water level got above 250 at the Key Well. That's been eliminated.
Yeah.
And so you're getting close to the 250, but you said earlier that there were some issues about inundation and other things going on.
Yeah, LA County has been really good. Watermaster's been keeping us updated. It seems that just due to the heavy rains over the last 2 years, plus now trying to interject the water into the ground now, some of the percolation rates are slowing down. They did have some algae during the summer, so they were switching from one side of the spreading grounds to the other. So they're kind of playing hopscotch to make sure that the percolation rates stay up. They asked to have USG3, the flow rates cut, so that they can make some changes to the spreading grounds, so they can stop the flow inward. But they're pretty positive that they will have that back on by the end of this month, which is next week.
It's pretty impressive, the spreading grounds over at 605, even the Citrus and the Ben Lomond spreading grounds are got a lot of water in them, so it's really encouraging. So, Great, great report, Dale. Can I have a motion to receive and file the water supply outlook? Moved by David, seconded by Mike. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries 3-0.
Okay. Moving on to item number 9 on the agenda, the water production report. Water production supervisor Ron Nitschke will give us a report.
Good evening, Commissioners and Chair. Tonight, my water report is going to be on 3 items. Well 2, rehabilitation, Booster 60, and Booster 1. Here you can see Well 2 rehabilitation. That was originally taken out of service due to mechanical issues. As you can see, this is a old well and has done us quite good over the years. As you may know, initially after well pulling, we want a video log to see what the issues were. That was done, and then after that, we did do a brush and bale. After the brush and bale, there was, because of the age of the well, there was damage to the casing that you can see in that one center picture. The 2 center pictures, the bottom picture, you can see the casing that's been exposed. We are still determining what the next course will be. More than likely, we'll reinsert the well and run it to waste to exercise to see what kind of flow that we get.
Mr. Chair, question. Where's well 2 located?
It's at the water yard, at the north end of the water yard.
And are you going to deepen the well at all?
No, we are not. That was the point of the brush or the baling. The baling was where the damage came from. We tried to airlift. We video logged and then attempted to do an airlift on, and it just loosened more debris. So they ceased the airlifting.
You try to surge there at all, or the?
They do an airlift rather than just doing a bale. So in this picture, you can see on the right or on the left is the brusher, and then on the right is the bale. So it's kind of like a post hole digger that they send down the well to remove the debris from the bottom. But it knocked more debris loose, and most of it came from the casing that was damaged. So they stopped that, and we thought we would try an airlifting. So they do water and air to purge to try to bring up that material. But in doing so, it loosened more material, so they ceased the purging on that. Booster 60 and Booster 6 or Booster 1, these are typically more of a annual type maintenance. Booster 60 motor failure, just the motor went to ground, and we had it tested by an electrician and found that the motor needed to be replaced. The pump was in good shape. There was no efficiency loss there, so we just pulled them up. The motor, had the motor tested and rewound, and actually went back in yesterday. So at this location, we have 3 boosters, so it wasn't, there was no issues for keeping up with the demand at this location. And Booster 1, mechanical seal was leaking. This was a project that was done this is at San Gabriel Booster Station. This project, we actually had some work done on this booster about a year ago, and a little less. And the mechanical seal was covered, majority of it was covered by the warranted, so there was very little monies out for us on that. That has been replaced. You can see the photo on the left is the new mechanical seal, and that booster is back up and running. That concludes my report.
Any questions?
I just, thank you, Ron, great report. On the well 2, you're replacing the casing then, is that?
To replace the casing, we feel it had been replaced. If I go back quickly here to that photo. So if you see on that middle bottom photo, you're actually looking through the original casing, and it looks like it had been relined at one time. We don't have records that go back. I'm assuming from our records that it probably goes back to the 50s that it was relined. That mild steel has failed. So to reline it, we've already had the new column and pump and motor put together. So if we were to reline that, that would have to be redesigned because that 8-inch pump wouldn't fit back in
Right.
a new liner. So the diameter wouldn't work.
The cable tools were pretty good work. I mean, they last a long time. So why is it so deep up in that area?
That was, well, the water table there is different than the water table out in Azusa. Our average water table is 350, 380 feet static, typically about 380. So most of the wells on this side of the basin are drilled to about 600 feet.
David?
No questions.
I see a green light, so.
Oh, that's because I forget.
Many of the city's wells are circa 1920, 1930, 1940 age, thereabouts. So, I mean, we're looking at quite a bit of money to refurbish a lot of the wells. Have we budgeted for that? Do we have an ongoing program?
We have started a program. Our goal is to pull one well per year. We do get efficiency tests done through Edison. That they do have a program. We do pay for part of that, and they, especially out in Azusa. With Azusa, Edison does not serve Azusa for power, so their program on those 4 wells doesn't apply. But we still get efficiency done on those wells.
Okay.
So we look at some of that efficiency reports and base on production, and if there's a drop in production, what well we might look at next to pull.
Yeah. What's the estimated cost on this project for well 2?
For well 2, it's probably going to be about 120,000.
Oh, okay.
We don't have the final number yet. We do, since we had to do some air purging, we took a few extra video logs just to make sure that we could put that there wasn't more extensive damage after the air purging to make sure that we could get the pump back in place.
And you said this well's been offline since?
It's been offline since the first of the year, originally for mechanical issues,
Okay.
the bearings and the.
So we're able to get through the summer without? any
Correct,
problem.
and that's some of what Dale's report alluded to with the purchasing in July. We weren't able to run that well, so.
Okay.
But with the water table from last year and this year, I know Dale had mentioned that he hadn't seen the water table that high in the 7 years. I haven't seen those 2 basins out in the Azusa spreading grounds that full in the 20 years I've been here. So
Right. Wow.
we've been fortunate over these last 2 summers
Yeah.
that we haven't lost any production out there.
Because those
It's an
are
anomaly.
our 2 big, or is our one
That's
big
our main
production area
pumping
with
plant.
good quality water. Yeah,
We have had to shut wells off out there in the past
right.
due to the water table being low.
During the drought periods.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Good report, Ron. Can I have a motion? Motion by Mike, seconded by David. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion
Motion
carries 3-0.
Okay, moving on to item number 10, new business, California legislation update. We have Russ Ackerman's going to give us an update, not Jason.
Okay. Good evening, commissioners. To see you again. I'm here to give a legislative update and a general overview of the new water conservation regulations that the state passed in July of this year. So on July 3rd, 2024, the California State Water Resources Control Board adopted the Making Conservation a California Way of Life regulation, which implements Assembly Bill 1668 and Senate Bill 606, which were actually signed back in 2018. And those were designed to achieve long-term water use efficiency savings in the state of California. It establishes new standards that apply to all urban retail water suppliers like the City of Glendora Water, and it results in increasingly lower water budgets for all water use within a water agency's service area. So it's agency-wide. It's specific to each urban retail water supplier agency.
So you're not going to get into that situation where I've got a drought-tolerant landscape and my neighbor floods his yard, and I'm going to be penalized because of his actions. That's not going to take place because it's going to be agency-wide.
It's agency-wide, and the agency is actually the one that could be penalized by the state of California for not meeting its urban water use objective.
Okay.
The regulation also changes the reduction requirements from the 2020 baseline that we spoke about earlier, and sets new permanent water use budgets for all the retailers in California, which are there 400 plus. The regulation requires that the water suppliers meet their urban water use objective each year. And essentially, the urban water use objective, it's a formula which calculates the amount of water that the water board determines to be an efficient amount of water necessary for water suppliers to supply their customers. Each water agency will have their own unique urban water use objective. So it's not apples to apples when we look at our neighbors nearby or on the coast or up north. Everyone will have their own unique urban water use objective, and it will be based on local population, indoor and outdoor water use, commercial and institutional water needs, and system losses. In total, there are 3 water use standards: indoor residential, and outdoor commercial, industrial, and institutional, which I'll be referring to as CII. There's 1 water loss standard and a variety of adjustments that are used to calculate each urban water supplier's overall budget. The sum of these is known as the urban water use objective. So if we go through and look at the individual standards, the first one regarding indoor water use is actually from Senate Bill 1157, which was signed into law in September of 2022. The bill established residential indoor standards that progressively become more efficient through 2030. So from now till 2025, the gallons per capita per day is 55, but starting January 1st, that will drop to 47. And then in 2030, that will drop to 42. The residential outdoor water budget standard is a set of landscape efficiency factors for calculating efficient outdoor water use. Essentially, this formula, if we go, start with the first number there, the LEF, that's a landscape efficiency factor, which is essentially a ratio of your irrigation system's efficiency and your plant water use efficiency. And I'll go into, I have another slide that'll kind of explain that a little bit better. The ETO is how it's how much cool season turf grass evapotranspirates in your area. So that's where the water budgets will begin to differ, because obviously inland areas like Glendora are going to have a higher ETO factor versus coastal communities. The landscape area, that is data that was provided by DWR. They essentially took aerial imagery and guesstimated our irrigated landscape areas. And so We have a number from them that gives us the total irrigated area within our service area. However, it does not distinguish between special landscape areas, which are areas that get the maximum allotted amount of water because they might be an orchard that's an edible landscape in residential communities, or it might be a playground or a park in institutional settings. And so those are considered special landscape areas. It's up to the agency to actually verify those special landscape areas. And those areas are important because they increase the outdoor water budgets for our community. So this outdoor water budget is going to change over time, but there's other factors, and I'll get into that on a later slide. The landscape efficiency factor, you can see through time it drops until 2040, where we're down to a 0.55 landscape efficiency factor. And to give a sense of what does this landscape efficiency factor really mean, if you look on the photo on the left, that is like a cool season turf grass that's beginning to go dormant in the summertime. It's watered with irrigation sprinklers that maybe are older sprinklers. So it's a higher water using plant with an irrigation system that's that may be somewhat inefficient. When you factor those ratios together, that gives you a higher LEF. So as they begin to lower the LEF factor that's applied to the water budget, the water budget for that site essentially says that you'll be taking your landscape area and reducing that turf area to about 25% or less of your total landscape. There is, in the picture on the right, where they have climate-appropriate plant material, irrigated with drip irrigation, they have a lower factor because obviously that ratio is going to end up being lower. But there still is turf on there, and I just wanted to point that out, that this move to a 0.55 by 2040 doesn't eliminate turf in residential landscapes. It only reduces the amount of turf. So this landscape outdoor budget also applies to commercial, institutional, and industrial properties that have dedicated irrigation meters. And again, similar to the residential outdoor water budget, the information for DIMS is currently taken off of our EAR, but the state of California will be supplying another round of landscape area measurements for the CII, which will help us in this calculation. The water loss standard is unique in that it was originally regulated under prior and independent 2015 legislation, Senate Bill 555. Therefore, compliance can be enforced individually for water loss, unlike other standards within the framework legislation. The water loss standard is the maximum allowable real water loss measured in gallons per connection per day for each supply system in the urban water supplier service area. The water loss standard is used to calculate the annual maximum allowed water loss volume in gallons per system, and this is referred to as the water loss budget. There are, as part of this legislation, areas such as commercial, industrial, and institutional water use indoors that are addressed. We are required to offer BMP's, best management practices, to commercial CII properties. And that can be in the form of the surveys that we offer, rebate programs, outreach, education. So we're actually doing a lot of this, but it is captured in this water use objective. There's also a reclassification of all meters to an Energy Star portfolio manager style system, which is what they currently use to benchmark energy for larger buildings in the state of California. They're now requiring us to go and reclassify each water meter for each CII property into one of 19 categories. Now, as I alluded to before, there are ways in which the water budget is affected by things such as variances, where you might be able to apply for additional water for, like, let's say if you had livestock or you were using water for dust control on horse corrals. The variance, however, has to be 5% or more of the urban water use objective. And in our initial look at it, we've noticed that we're not reaching that 5% threshold. So we're not sure how many of these potential variances are actually we're going to be able to apply for. Temporary provisions are for planting like new trees. So if our urban forest grows and we add more trees, we actually get an allotment of water for that for 5 years. That's the temporary provision, and then that goes away. Bonus incentive is particularly for potable reuse water, and it's not really applicable to us. If you go to the State Water Board website, it will show that by 2040, Glendora needs to have a 43% agency-wide reduction. Now, that's a big number. That's a number that puts us into 12% of all urban retail water suppliers in the state of California. However, that data is based on older data, and it doesn't include these things I've talked about earlier, special landscape areas. As we collect that data and add, that's going to change that objective number. As we get more CII data from the state, that's going to change that number as well. So this is a moving target, and so this won't be the last time that we're bringing this before you, because there will be constant updates based on the data that we're collecting, the reporting mechanisms and what that shows. And so we'll be coming back to you with updates as to where we actually stand once we have a reporting template that we can use to really explain how that reduction target, that urban water use objective, what that actually means for Glendora from not just 2025, but 2030, 2035, and 2040. If we are in a situation where we have over 30% reduction target by 2040, then there is an alternative compliance pathway where you have to abide by certain rules and post a plan that addresses what you're doing to meet the objective, and also adhere to a G480 standard that the American Water Association has developed as sort of a way to gauge how your water conservation programs are being run. And if we are going down the alternative compliance pathway, that would require that our per capita water use averages no less than 2% per year. Based on data, our initial baseline would be from 2024 to 26, and every year subsequent to that, they'll reevaluate that baseline. So there is a way to comply with a higher target by doing 2% a year until 2040. So that's the alternative compliance pathway. We may be taking that route, and the reason why I'm saying may is because we literally just within the last 24 hours got the new reporting template that calculates our urban water use objective, but it's incomplete. They haven't issued all the data for it yet, so we don't have numbers yet to say what will it look next year, what will it look like at 2040, and will we be triggering this alternative compliance because our 2040 target is greater than 30%. Sorry, that was a lot, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, great report, Russ. Way to end on good news. David, do you have any questions?
Yeah, so do we know so we have a current UW, I don't remember the acronym off the top of my head. So we've got this metric that we're going to be trying to meet. If we look at our current consumption, do we have enough data to determine what the biggest drivers are for us in terms of our consumption so that we would know where to maybe focus our reduction efforts?
Absolutely. It's outdoor water use, residential outdoor water use. And this is part of how the legislation informs what programming we're offering. We're putting more money into the turf removal project with MWD. We're trying to encourage professional participation in our rebate programs. We're putting on workshops. We're trying to engage the community to really, make us individually make a shift towards reaching this target by taking out a little turf here and there and putting in climate-appropriate landscapes that's using less water. We know that that's going to be a big driver. We're also working, as we've talked about, with the schools and the golf courses and within our own city to find ways to reduce water there as well. So we know who we need to really assist and help with this transformation. And so we're actively doing that. We already have programs. The Community Water Hero program meets that CII best management practice requirement. So we're reaching out to indoor commercial water users and trying to help them. And we're doing what we can now in preparation, not just for the legislation, but and also just to really find ways to meet that target sooner.
Well, I noticed when we were talking about the new turf replacement program, how much better conceived I think it was than the old one was in terms of requiring professional assistance in getting these targets, getting the redesign and implementation done. And I see that goes hand in hand with what we've got to meet here. So that's good. I guess I'm going to have to get to work on my own yard. Thank you very much.
Certainly.
Michael?
Thank you. I've been around the water legislation since the late 80s and I know that the state projects good intentions and more requirements, but they seem to change frequently based on water supply and things like that. So my question, a couple of them, if you go back to your slide on the indoor water use where the 55 gallons per person per day and then it starts ratcheting down, what do you estimate? So they're talking about 55 gallons and ratcheting it down to 47. I know it was stricter when they first came out with this in the middle of the drought back in the late 2016, 17. They were talking about much stricter numbers and enforcement like this year, 2024, 2025 and they've extended that based on we got rain. So is Glendora or any water agency supposed to calculate that based on the number of people in a house type of thing? Is that what people are going to report?
No, it's your population, and it's service-wise. It's like this is how much indoor water use a resident uses. You wouldn't have any way to determine that with our meters, right? So that's not really enforceable. The way they're handling it is on a service agency-wide.
Yeah.
It's everybody in your total population multiplied by this standard, multiplied by 365, and that is your total residential indoor water budget.
I know that they've had strict standards, strict penalties, which they've never enforced in my experience. They had penalties on some cities. Beverly Hills was one that was always the target when I was in the business, and they waived all the penalties. So I know that sometimes they have a hammer, but they don't bring it down all the time. And I understand the outdoor use is a majority of water use in the state of California. I'm glad they're given the evapotranspiration, where they're going to take into account different climates in the state, which there are a number of them. What do you estimate for forward planning and with the managers in the water department and the city, how many employees is it going to take to enforce this standard?
To enforce the standard.
Right.
Well, you know, we are leveraging partnerships, so collecting data is part of compliance in a way, and that takes a lot of, like, verifying these special landscape areas, verifying the dedicated irrigation meter areas. That's going to take a lot of time that we're trying to work with our local vendors, like WaterWise, for example, to have them do the measurements for us, and then we can report that back to the state. I think every water agency in California is going to be reevaluating the number of staff that they have and what it takes based on their water agency area. So like Mondo had alluded to earlier, we have one water conservation officer now that's doing, you know, our kind of standard water waste enforcement. But now we have this set of regulations, and we're definitely going to need to reevaluate. Do we need more staffing, or do we develop more relationships with vendors that can help us, you know, achieve compliance with the objective?
And I know that as people are very acutely aware of water conservation, especially the drought, they can see it, you know, there's no rain, there's, you know, and they hear that message a lot. We have more water, people are kind of, it's a tough message to get across when they see the basins full and the rivers full and a lot of rain coming. It's a tough message to deliver, and the state tends to push that legislation out, the enforcement out based on how much water is available. But somebody in the city, when you have to go knock on, for example, Mr. Hansen's door and tell him, your lawn's very green, you know, you're wasting too much water, we're going to put a restrictor on your meter or something like that. Those types of things get a little sticky, especially in light of how much water we may have, and people kind of weigh that in their use of water and things like that, so.
Absolutely. In fact, we have been waiting for the reporting template to come out to give us a sense of where are we, what is our actual water use objective, and if it is something that puts us into an alternative compliance pathway, then we'll be working with the PIO team to develop the messaging behind it. It's sort of like we need to get the data first and get the numbers and know what that target looks like and what does that target look like from year to year to develop that messaging behind it, because as we've brought up, you know, drought fatigue messaging. We've been hearing about that, but we have all this rain, but now we have this whole new set of regulations that are making conservation a way of life, literally. You know, whether it's a drought or not, this is the new way of life. So how we go about messaging that is something that we'll be developing with the PIO and also with our vendors, for example, with the landscape workshops that we'll be doing in the upcoming year.
Yeah, and I know that the state, you know, the delivery system, the plumbing system in the state has not been fully built out. You know, it was built for, 30 million people, and we've got 40 million people in the state. I know the talk of the, it used to be in the old days, peripheral canal. We got soundly defeated in 1982, I think, in 83. They're talking about another, what's the name of that one? We beat our heads to try to get that passed.
California Tunnel or something.
California Tunnel, and you know, that was supported strongly, a double barrel by Governor Brown. It was down to a single tunnel with our current governor, and now I haven't heard anything about it, you know, about delivering. There's water in the state that we could get down here, but we just don't have the plumbing system to do that. Is they, at the same time, are they talking about that as far as being more efficient in allocating the resources across the state?
Well, yeah, I mean, that always comes up. Can we store more water? Can we deliver water? But, that always comes up, but the standards are applicable to everybody in the state. And I think that the standards are kind of a response to the old, well, just reduced by 20% because that didn't seem equitable across the state, but by many water agencies. And so this is an attempt by the state to create legislation that has an equitable reduction target for each urban water use supplier, regardless of what water supplies are within the state right now.
And I know that when I was in these meetings, I talked to the director of the State Department of Water Resources, and she was mentioning, restaurants don't give people water unless this is back in the meaty days of the drought. But my question to her was, I think at the time, 82% of the water in the state, usable water, was used by agriculture. And I think our discussion was agriculture needs to step up, and they are, but maybe ratchet that up where they're using drip irrigation. People always ask, why are we growing rice in our state, almonds, which are, I understand the cash product, the import, the export, the jobs it creates. But if they employed the same means of conservation that they're foisting on the communities, that would free up a lot of water. Again, we don't have the delivery system to get that water down here, so it needs to be kind of a parallel track to solve some of those issues like that, so.
Absolutely, I agree. I think the main message is, whether it's agriculture or it's residential water use, we could all strive to use water more efficiently.
Well, if the agriculture saved 10%, that frees up all the water the rest of the state uses approximately, maybe, 15%. It's right there, and we're always going after the glass of water in the restaurant while they're much bigger scale that we could get better efficiencies and a bigger bang for the buck by approaching that. So I'll get off my soapbox. You trained me well.
You say you ride your bike by my house, you would know I have no grass in my front yard.
I noticed.
Okay. I just want to get that on for the record. I have no grass in my front yard.
Yeah. I was using an example of you be water hero. I nominate you.
Okay.
And I do that.
Great,
so.
thank you. Do we have a good sense for turf versus grass? And is there a huge water savings? Yeah, I'm thinking about the athletic fields at Sandburg, Goddard, the high school. If those were converted to turf, would we save that much water?
Yes, you would save water, but water is used in like the cleaning of artificial turf. The other, the question of like how much water you would save if you're not watering, it's like 34 gallons per square foot per day is what MWD touts every time you remove turf grass, right? So yeah, there is a water savings. There's other issues with artificial turf, and I'm not going to get into that, but you certainly can have water savings with that type of approach.
We did a few of those in Walnut Valley with the turf replacement. You have to water it down. It gets too hot in the summer, like for a football field or a soccer field. You have to do that. And also the dreaded, that turf contains that chemical that comes out now. You can't get, so.
Well, I drove by the Louis Pompey Sport Park and saw the fields down there, and it's very nice, very nice. And it'd be nice if they did the same thing at Sandburg, Goddard, and the high school. But I don't know about the rebate, how much, if any, of that applies for that large of a turf removal project, or it's just residential.
Yeah, artificial turf is not rebated in the Metropolitan Water District programs. And generally, most water agencies don't have a rebate for artificial turf. So that artificial turf, it also, if you're removing that grass area, you're actually affecting the water budget because that turf area, that turf grass area is considered special landscape area, and that you have a full allotment of water for that because it's in a public park. Whereas when you supplant it with artificial turf, that's now called irrigable, not irrigated area, and is actually a reduction from your urban water use objective. So it's kind of ironic, but that's kind of where the state legislation is moving towards, green parks, green community recreational public spaces, and less turf at home.
Final question on reclaimed water. Would reclaimed water be of value to the city in meeting its budget requirements?
Yes, it could.
Okay.
There's a number of factors that go into the budget where reclaimed water could have an effect. Recycled water could have an effect. Potable reuse is the bonus incentive. So there is an incentive to reuse water.
Yeah, I'm not sure how cost-effective it is, but there's these scalping plants or packaged wastewater treatment plants, so you can take the waste flow and treat it to a high level and put it to beneficial use back in your own community, so. Okay, great. I think that's it. You got anything more, Russ?
We will be back, not only to give you updates, obviously, on the urban water objective, but next time we'll be discussing the Glendora Municipal Code, some of the upcoming changes when it relates to non-functional turf, the prohibition for watering non-functional turf. So we'll be back with some updates to propose to you for the Glendora Municipal Code.
Okay.
Very good, very good. Very good report, a very complicated subject. And the non-functional turf are sidewalks, right? That's where people water those all the time, so.
Okay, we have Mr. Holmes made a motion, David seconded to receive and file the California legislative update. And do we have, okay, you made the motion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries 3-0.
That's correct. All right, last item is the commissioner staff closing comments. David, do you have anything, any closing comments?
No, not tonight.
Mike?
Thank you, staff, for staying after work. Great reports. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate all you do.
Great commission report, first time in 6 months. We'll do it again in 3 more months. So I guess that puts us into January. I just want to wish everybody a safe Halloween and a wonderful Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll see you all next year. So thanks much. Meeting adjourned at 7:38.